up? It's your girl Sasha Banks, the legit boss, and you are watching Going in Raw. You like that?
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson, taped live at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson, and of course, wherever audio podcasts can be found if you're watching this on YouTube or on the Twitch. I've already explained it to all 542 of our Twitch viewers. I'll explain it one more time for those of you who might not have been paying attention. During the build to SummerSlam, Larson offered up our SummerSlam predictions punishment he was going to have had he lost the Hollywood Hulk Hogan beer Fu Manchu combo, and if I lost, which I did, by a single point, I would be bleaching half my head like Seth Rollins did back in the day. Today, live on Twitch. That's why you guys should be following us at the Twitch, twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Lacey, my wonderful wife, bleached my hair, and so I changed my camera angle as well so that whenever I pivot this way, y'all can see the fruits of the labor. So yeah,
it's great. It looks magnificent. You should keep it like that.
I like it. I think it looks great. I'm not going to keep
the other
it like
side
this.
too. What if you do the other side so just the top is brown?
That would make me look like a complete jackass. So I'm not going to do that.
Oh, all right. Well,
but I won't fight it. I'll lean into it, but I'm not going to keep it. Yeah,
that's what you got to do.
Anyways.
WWE, speaking of leaning into things, Roman's back. They're leaning into Roman some more. Not surprising at all. He walks out of Payback with that Universal Championship around his waist, the belt that he never lost. So, like, there's aspects of heel Roman now that are interesting, but there's still certain aspects of it, too, that aren't exact, like the dots aren't connecting so much. Like, they had so much focus on this contract thing. Like, well, he's going to sign the contract essentially when he's good and ready. He promises he'll be there. He promises he's going to win. But, you know, without pen hitting paper and him putting his name in that contract, I guess, you know, in terms of WWE canon, it's not official.
Yeah, the operative term there is within WWE canon. Obviously, the contract stuff was goofy, but continue your point.
Yeah, so if you want to get heat on somebody, I guess no better way than to use like legal apparatuses like contracts. Like the larger point, I understand. He'll wait to get into the match when it's most opportune for him to get in it. I understand that. Using the contract is kind of like the mechanism to motivate that. I don't think it was necessarily necessary. It's just a weird kind of apparatus they utilize to say, well, I'll just kind of do what I want to. And then but part of that goes into what I kind of gathered from his performance, which is he's not sure how to heel quite yet. H-E-E-L, not H-E-A-L. He's not sure how to be a bad guy yet. You know, that's kind of what it felt like. So he hits the ring, or he walks out to the ring. He's got Heyman with him. He's got the contract, he signs him. He has a chair, so he walks down the ring. And does he take the chair into the ring? No, he drops it on the floor, gets in the ring, covers Fiend. So what happens is there was a suplex spot where Bray superplexes Braun off the top rope. The ring collapses. So Roman goes down there. He pins Bray. You basically have to run over Bray with a truck or be Goldberg to pin the Fiend. Roman is neither of those things. So why try to pin him? Not only does he try that once, twice, gets frustrated, does the same thing to Braun, gets frustrated. And then he finally goes and gets the chair. And it seems like when he kicked Bray in the nuts, it unlocked something in his mind. Oh, this is what I do to be heel. Now I get it, kind of, at least in the context of this match, and he spears Braun to get the win. So if that's the story they're telling, where Roman, while he's been out, thinks to himself, I worked hard all these years. I showed up every day all these years, and the crowd still didn't accept me. Well, guess what? I'm just going to do what's best for me. If that means sitting at home for 4 months and then showing up and win the belt, good on me. However, he's doing that, and it's kind of against his own nature, so he has to learn to be a bad guy. I don't mind that so much. I just hope that's kind of laid out more clearly in the coming weeks. So that's the story, and I get it.
I gathered more from it, especially with Heyman being around, that he's gone from he's gone from Shield Relic, who was underachieving, versus what he should have been doing. He spent years chasing Brock, and yeah, he won the title here, he won the title there. He was in every main event at WrestleMania. He beat The Undertaker. But there was always the idea, whether it was in kayfabe, not in kayfabe, or to fans, that Roman never really achieved what he should have been achieving that whole time.
He never had his true coronation. He never really had that. And
being with Heyman is Heyman saying, hey, you need to essentially, metaphorically and literally, get your money. I can help you do that. You keep on taking the scenic route. You keep on making things too difficult for yourself. It doesn't necessarily, which, yeah, a heel, a certain type of heel is a guy who takes shortcuts. And that might be this situation where he's got his advocate. He's got Paul Heyman, who has masterminded perhaps the greatest champion of this era and maybe many eras prior to that in Brock Lesnar. Now Roman Reigns has accepted, okay, I've made this too hard on myself. Let me make this a little bit easier. So you do stuff like wait till the last second to sign the contract. You get in there after these two monsters have ripped themselves to shreds, and you go for the easy pin. That doesn't work. You go for the low blow. You go for the chairs. It's no holds barred. That's what you do to pick up the win. And is it cutting corners? Yeah, maybe. Is it within the rules of this match? Absolutely. Does it make total sense within the I've always said that no DQ matches, no hold bars matches, they should all, it should all be a race to kick the other guy in the nuts. Yep. And he did that tonight. I'm willing to give it a shot. I mean,
definitely.
There did seem to be the perception you got from his body language is an apt one. Is this how you cut corners? Is this how you do it? I'm confused now. There did seem to be that. So I'm wondering if that's the route they're going to take with the story. I'm interested to see where they're going to go with the story. That match, I thought that it was a wonderful symphony of disaster to kick things off. Roman swoops in, gets the title. That's going to play into his story.
Definitely.
So yeah, was it quite the badass that we thought that his shirt says wreck everything and leave? It wasn't that. And I think that's one thing that I was kind of hoping to see, is a guy who, you got Smooth Braun as one monster. You have literally the Fiend as another monster. I can hang with these guys as my own kind of monster. And we didn't get that. We got a different thing.
What I was hoping is like he'd find the moment to come down when it was best for him. He'd come down the ring and just wreck everybody. They've already wrecked each other, but he's gonna finish the job, and he's just gonna wreck them. And that's not what happened, really. Like if he ran down there with a chair, and then for 3 minutes straight just took turns hitting each one with the chair, that's more in line with the wreck everyone and leave thing. You know?
Yeah.
And this was much more of an opportunistic heel situation where he's still kind of learning how to do it. I mean, again, if that's the story and they tell it well, count me on board, because that's something different. We don't know if we've really seen a story like this with someone of this caliber, a main event guy who's having such a huge turn, learning how to do it while he's doing it, you know?
Yeah. So that came in the main event of course, WWE Payback. And overall, I thought it sort of went back and forth. I thought that there were two really terrific matches. I thought there was one shockingly awesome result with Keith Lee. Neither of us, by the way, congratulations on retaining the first time this year that you've retained Big Red. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Thankfully, there are no more punishments until Survivor Series, so I don't have to deal with that. But I thought that the show was either, like, they had a couple of really big moments. Like you had the women's tag title match, which was, I thought, awesome.
Really good. And the finish was brilliant.
I thought that Seth and Murphy and Ray and Dom was like a 4-star Raw main event. I kind of felt like between that and the other matches on the card, like taking out the women's tag title match, taking out the main event, and taking out Keith Lee Orton, you have a Raw SmackDown Super Show.
Wild card final.
Yeah, good matches across the board. I mean, the only dud, I'm not even going to call it a dud, but the only one that I didn't really get too much into was Baron Corbin versus Matt Riddle.
Yeah, that was structured really oddly.
That match didn't do a lot for me, but otherwise I thought Payback was a fine pay-per-view. It was a fairly efficient pay-per-view. It didn't really take too long to get anywhere,
it was
which
only
I
about
always
2.5
like.
hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's only just like 10 past 7 right now, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nothing. I was going to suggest, let's talk a little bit more about Keith Lee beating Randy Orton. Completely unexpected. We thought that, at least I thought, Retribution would get involved. That's another thing that didn't happen tonight. No Retribution.
Yeah.
We talked about on News Brief that Dijakovic teased something happening Sunday. We have assumed, and it's more or less seemed that he has been member of Retribution going on for a while now, and yet nowhere to be found. Thought maybe they'd interfere in Keith Lee Orton. Didn't happen. Maybe in Ray Dominic versus Seth and Buddy, because that's what happened last week. Didn't happen. Hell, maybe they get involved in the main event. Didn't happen.
They didn't even talk to security in kayfabe. They didn't even show anybody talking to security about. I mean, that's always a tip-off that they're going to show up. Although I guess they didn't show up on SmackDown. They didn't show up on SmackDown, did they? And I think Pierce was talking to them to kick off SmackDown about Retribution.
Yeah, that's the only mention of Retribution that whole show at the very beginning before he went to Vince's office. It's like, hey, tensions are high.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Retribution. Maybe right now they're relegated to. I thought for sure that Keith Lee versus Orton. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm pleasantly surprised that Retribution didn't show up.
Same.
Because so far they haven't really been booked to the way that I think is compelling or anything. I mean, seemingly the names under the mask, if they are to be believed, I mean, it's obvious who some of them are really, really great talents who I want to see on the main roster. But they're going to have to go a little ways, and it might just be one segment that gets Retribution over in my eyes. But interfering in a Keith Lee Orton match, sort of muddies the beginning of Keith Lee's main roster career. Well, they didn't do that. Keith Lee has a stellar start to his main roster career.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated to see where that's going to go. I'm interested to see if his encounter with JBL if they expand on that, or if that was just a one-time thing to sort of hype up Keith Lee and say, hey, even with the pressure on this guy, he can deliver. So yeah, I don't know. Let's just start at the beginning of Payback.
Sure. So the kickoff show, there was one match, Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott taking on the IIconics. So Liv and Ruby have kind of circled around the idea that the band is back together. They've made amends, but hasn't been to the extent where they could reform the Riott Squad. Essentially, of course, the IIconics have been given Ruby in particular a bunch of crap over the last few weeks. So before the match kicks off, IIconics have a promo, and they're kind of saying, hey, you don't really know Ruby's true intentions here, do you, Liv? Try to cause some division, and that played out in the match. Because at one point, Billy runs around and tries to pull Liv off the apron. She had a hard time doing so, and then Peyton pushes Ruby into Liv, and that knocks her off the apron. And then for a good portion of the rest of the match, Liv is kind of wandering around ringside. Do I go back on the corner? Do I not? Seemingly. Eventually, though, Ruby hits an enziguri. She goes to her corner to get a tag. Liv runs back up, gets the tag. She goes on a run against Peyton. She tags Ruby back in. Peyton fights her off. So Ruby eats that reverse magic killer thing that IIconics have been doing. Liv in to break it up. And then Liv takes Ruby, pulls her to her corner, tags herself in. Again, IIconics go for that finish on Liv. She escapes. She hits her finish on Peyton Royce. That pin's broken up. Eventually, though, Liv tags in Ruby. Liv hits a code breaker. Ruby follows with a Riott kick. They get the win, and afterwards they go to the panel and more or less say, Riott Squad is back together.
Yeah. So they got their act together. I figured they'd take a little bit longer to get there, but they're there. They're a team. Good for them. I like them both. I like the IIconics too.
Yeah, me too.
The show started with the proper show started with Apollo Crews defending his United States Championship against Bob Lashley. Weird thing they're doing with Apollo Crews here. This is a really fun match. Apollo Crews is endlessly fun to watch. Both these guys are a lot of fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
Hurt Business was out there, but they were just observing the action. They didn't even get involved in this. There was one part where they started sort of, trying to intimidate Apollo a little bit, walking him down. But I believe for the finish, they had sat down. Basically, Apollo ends up tapping out to the full Nelson, or the full Lashley. Yeah. Kind of a weird thing they're doing with Apollo. He's sort of, I like that they've given Apollo a bit of an edge. He's a bit snarky. I like that. I'm not sure sore loser should be his thing though, because they did this weird thing afterwards where Hurt Business is in there and this was really weird. They're taking pictures and then they show like the pictures live on air in a really goofy like visual.
It was like iMovie slideshow.
Exactly. And then Apollo like breaks up the festivities and like they run him off kind of, and he just sort of skulks up the ramp like holding himself in pain, and he's like yelling at them.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to get my title back. Let's go back to the picture thing, because that was weird. So MVP, after Lashley wins, goes and gets this photographer and says, come over here. We're taking pictures now. So they're posing in the ring, their arms up, and, Lashley has the title. And, yeah, they do the thing where the photo, comes in. It's like this, another one on top of it like that, and a third one like that. Like, what the heck? Yeah. This is so not in the visual language of professional wrestling. Where did this come from?
Or reality. Like, you don't take this guy clearly had, like, I don't know what it was. It was a Canon of some. It was a nice,
it was like
fancy...
a DSLR of some sort. Yeah, and I guess you could have an out that could send it up to something or whatever. I don't know. I guess it's possible to do it pretty quickly, but I don't know. It was weird.
It was unsettling, to say the least. As a tech guy, as a self-professed tech guy, it was unsettling.
It
but
was.
Yeah, so dude, what's going on with Apollo Crews' sore loser attitude? What's going on with that? It's like me when we're playing 2K20, dude.
It really is. It really is. I mean, he's got no one to blame but himself. He tapped out.
He tapped getting quickly.
Hurt Business didn't cheat.
No, they didn't. They sat there politely.
It's really no excuses.
Yeah, that was weird.
If he should be upset with anybody, it should be Apollo Crews.
Yeah.
So after that, Paul Heyman, he has an interview. He's asked by Kayla, will Roman sign contract for match tonight? Because he still hasn't done it. And Roman's like, yeah, he said he would. But, if you want to know more, you got to ask Roman about that. And Kayla says, well, can I go talk to him? And Heyman's like, no. After that, Keith Lee warming up in the locker room. JBL walks in, says, I've enjoyed watching you. I got an opportunity for you to get involved in this hedge fund. Thing is, it's $1 million buy-in, essentially. And Keith Lee's like, well, I don't have that kind of money.
He's like, I'm on an NXT contract still.
I know. I still haven't gotten a raise. JBL goes, well, if you win tonight, that's the start. But if you lose, don't feel bad.
What's the winner's purse on that match tonight?
It must be pretty hefty if he can buy his way into a hedge fund. He tells Lee, hey, don't feel bad about it. Orton is one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, but he had a really sinister look on his face when he did that, like Lee was crap or something like that. So I don't know, man. I actually like JBL, like all the weird bullying stuff aside. I like JBL.
He's a good performer.
I wouldn't mind seeing something with him and Lee, where he's giving him stock tips advice, or stock tips or advice on the stock market. Yeah, exactly. I think it'd be kind of cool. I want to learn about hedge funds and what's the
private
one
equity.
What's one supposed to be really safe?
Mutual funds.
Thank you, mutual. I once got a book on mutual funds. It was Mutual Funds for Dummies. I read the first 3 pages. I'm like, I must be a super dullard because I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah. Did you look into CDs at all? That's another thing.
CDs nuts. After that, we had a recap. For Miz and Big E talking again on Talking Smack, where Big E's
is the absolute best.
Big E's thing is, I'm very serious about not wanting to be serious on my solo run.
He's very serious about not being pushed towards being serious.
Yes, exactly. So, of course, that led to Big E versus Sheamus, the match. And this is actually really fun. Again, this could have been a SmackDown main event. Really stellar match. I gave it 3 stars. You know, it was
I gave it 3 1/3.
Okay.
What'd you give the U.S. title match?
2.5.
Oh, all right.
What'd you give it?
3.
Oh wow, you went high.
I think I was just happy because I picked the outcome correctly.
Oh yeah, that'll do that. No, I think I went low because I didn't pick the outcome correct. Like immediately, Apollo Crews killed me. Immediately.
Yeah.
Anyways, I mean, I ended up losing by like 3 or 4 points though.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, there's some good bits here though. Like at one point, I like whenever Big E goes for that apron splash.
Oh.
He missed it this time. Whenever he missed it, it looks really bad. That freaking V trigger. So Big E goes for a big ending.
Oh my
ends up
gosh.
eating like a Sheamus V trigger that looked nasty. In the end, though, Big E ends up winning with the big ending. I gave it 3 stars. And then the great thing about this afterwards, though, is that Big E goes over to his foil at commentary, Corey Graves, and just starts laying into him verbally about, hey, I keep winning. You need to be, you need to take, you need to show me respect. I'm the man, et cetera, coming off as very serious and very intense.
Well, earlier on during the match, Big E hits a couple belly to bellies, and so he sets up for that splash he does, where he runs a rope splash. And so he was doing his gyrating of the hips, and Sheamus just got up and decked him. And commentary's like, "Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
you got to be serious when you're in the ring."
Yeah,
and he still wins, so it's all right. It's all right.
but here's the thing, though. He might be learning that everybody else is right, and he does need to be more serious.
I hope not. I hope not, because he's right. He should follow his own path because he should trust his instincts. His instincts have taken him far.
He'll be further if he. But here's the thing: he is being serious, and that's why he's winning. Remember this for later. Dabbing with Dan here said, "Did you hear Roman scream 'Count bitch' to the ref?" That's interesting. I didn't. I like that. I want him to start being rude to people. Anyway, speaking of being rude, after that we had a Matt Riddle interview. And he was talking about, it was very Matt Riddle stuff. These days he's being overwritten. He's trying to remember his words. But basically he said in the end, the Stallion is going to run all over King Corbin, bro. And
King
then
of Bros gonna beat King Corbin, yeah.
And then whoever this new interviewer is pointed out that apparently Baron Corbin on his social media accounts had said that Riddle has already proven that he's gonna prove that he's a failure in his kingdom, but also that Riddle has already proven that he's a failure at home.
This is what he tweeted. Tonight, I prove that Matt Riddle is a failure in a WWE ring. By the way, he's already proven that he's a failure at home.
Ouch. That is rough, given what we know about Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
That is because when she mentioned that, I was like, holy crap. And then like Matt Riddle just all of a sudden got I'm pissed off face and left the interview. Not terribly surprising, I guess, then the outcome of that match if they're going to bring that stuff into it.
Oh yeah, once that happens, like, oh gosh, Matt Riddle's totally going to win.
Yeah.
Before we got that match though, we got Nia and Shayna backstage. They're arguing about who's going to take charge, who's going to lead. And Shayna says, I don't care. I just want you to leave me alone. They start shoving a little bit, and they say, how about we just cut it with the pre-match chit-chat? And they just kind of warm up together silently.
Yeah. After that, we had Baron Corbin versus Matt Riddle. Corbin basically dominated 7/8 of this match, Larson.
Yeah.
The entire thing.
I mean,
he got the jump on him at the beginning.
He did. But apart from getting the win, I mean, Baron Corbin, he's not exactly the yardstick, the litmus test in WWE programming in terms of in-ring competition. So if his point the point Corbin was trying to prove tonight was that Matt Riddle didn't belong in a WWE ring, considering how much he dominated this match to a certain extent, take the finish out of it, he accomplished his mission.
Yeah.
Because he had his way with Matt Riddle for, as you mentioned, like 7/8 of the match, 80% of the match at least, was dominating him. And it was really just the very end. Riddle locks on a triangle. Baron powers out of it. Riddle hits Bro to sleep, floating Bro to get the win. It felt like one of those things that came out of nowhere. Here, I'll hit you with 3 moves and I win, after getting my ass beat the entire match.
Yeah.
That's what it was, more or less.
Yeah, with a floating bro, no less.
Didn't even take a bro Derek.
Yeah. I mean, I gave this 2.5 stars.
That's what I gave it to.
Okay, I mean, it probably deserved 2.
The performance was fine. Corbin wrestled the match fine. He told the story he was told to do. Same with Matt Riddle. Right. It just seemed like an odd story to tell, given what they I would think want from Matt Riddle, the hopes they have for Matt Riddle.
Yeah,
it's like here's an upstart NXT call up that we want to establish. Let's have him sell for Baron Corbin for 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not exactly the way to do it.
Yeah. Afterwards, Matt Riddle's in the tunnel. He literally is so happy. He said, "Finally, I can move past Baron Corbin." And then who attacks him? Baron Corbin puts him through one of the tables at catering. So guess what, Matt Riddle? You have not moved past
You're not done.
Baron Corbin quite
Not
yet.
done.
Man, this next match, Larson, this was killer. Especially the finish. This was killer stuff. Bayley and Sasha Banks are at such another level these days. And then for them all to concoct this finish, or whoever concocted this finish, to make in one sequence, in about a 3-minute sequence, they did more for Shayna Baszler's post NXT career than the entirety of since she's been up
on
from
the main
NXT.
roster. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
This was
I would
stuff.
say there's one exception, and that's when she eliminated everybody in Elimination Chamber. When she destroyed the field
that was
Elimination
good
Chamber.
too. That was huge. Yeah, because she beat Asuka there too. Yeah,
But in terms
that's a
of
good
one
point.
compact moment, you said 3 minutes at most. It wasn't even that much.
Mm-hmm.
Where she displays she's dominant, she's strategic, and she can tell a damn good story. I don't know who was responsible for booking this finish, but the execution of it was brilliant.
Yeah.
In terms of the storytelling aspect. So, the story going into this is Nia and Shayna, they don't like each other. They can't get along, but can they work together since they've never tagged together? Whereas you got Sasha and Bayley, they've proven they can work together as a team, even though things are starting to kind of fray apart. So a lot of good back and forth. I mean, it helps Nia and Shayna that physically speaking, they're the dominant pair, especially Nia. She's a powerhouse. And so that all came into play. But let's just skip to the finish. There's a lot of great back and forth. The storytelling of this match was really good.
Oh, so good.
Early on, they try to knock Nia out. They try to go after her knee. Sasha's pulling her off the apron and stuff like that. So the finish sees Shayna lock Sasha in a Muda lock, and then she puts Bayley in the clutch. So she's laying down with Bayley while Sasha's in the Muda lock. So Sasha bends back and tries to break it up. What Shayna does is she takes Sasha's arm and wraps it around Bayley's neck, so she's not choking out Bayley with her forearm.
Yeah,
it's Sasha's arm.
Yeah,
and so Bayley has to tap out because indirectly Sasha is choking her out.
It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Just brilliant.
Just absolutely brilliant. It's a really fun match. I gave it 3.875 stars. Brilliant match.
I gave it because there are 4 horsewomen in this. I put 4 stars in this match, dude.
There you go. That was a good match. Really good match. And afterwards, Charlie gets in the ring to do an interview, and Shayna's trying to talk, and Nia just goes, "Whoa, we did it. We win. Get out of here, Charlie." And this starts being as obnoxious as possible, and I was all about it.
I was all about it. These two, like Nia's sort of attitude these days, which is like over it to the point of it being funny. Like she's completely over people like Pat Buck, Shayna Baszler, anybody trying to tell her what to do. She's over them, but like in a kayfabe sense, you know what I mean? And so that mixed with Shayna's chip on her shoulder, trying to claw her way to the top. It's like Nia's kind of done a lot of stuff already. So it's like she seems to not really care. She just wants to wreck people.
Yeah.
That chemistry is actually really, really strong.
It is.
Even at this early level, it's brought something out in Nia. Yeah, her promos still aren't the most polished thing in the world. She's not the most polished wrestler in the world, but she really doesn't need to be. She really needs to just take the Big Show's, the Giants' philosophy of it's really easy to be
one-dimensional when it's all you need.
When it's all you need. Don't try to do anything too amazing, too complex. You're a monster. Just stick to that. But her personality in this juxtaposed with Shayna's, I think is going to make for a fun team, man. I'm looking forward to this.
I think so, too. I feel like they're finally finding a way to have Nia, in terms of her character, perform like she does outside of the ring as she did inside the ring. Because inside the ring, her character work has generally been really good.
Yeah,
like she's a really good in-ring trash talker. You put her in front of a mic when she's supposed to interview, remember lines or bullet points, and it's not as strong. But I've always thought, in terms of character performance in the ring, that she's generally been really good.
Yeah. Let's see here. Somebody mentioned here one. Well, I don't know how to pronounce this name in chat. Long Cat Turner. It's the female broserweights. It kind of has that feel to it, you know. You know what's funny is that I keep on looking over here, thinking that the camera's going to be there, because that's where it usually is. I need to be right here. Anyway,
you got to turn.
I gotta do is look right in front of me, and it's there.
Oh, it's right in front of you. Yeah. After that, we had Keith Lee taking on Randall Keith Orton. Same music for Keith Lee. Whatever. New entrance gear. That was cool. He still had the shirt, but he didn't have the kind of loose fitting shorts. Doesn't matter. He beat Randy Orton. He beat Randy Orton. You can quibble all you want about the music because it's not as good as the NXT music, but at the end of the day, he just beat Randy Orton. So it's kind of it's a moot point. It doesn't really matter.
Dude, he beat him with a spirit bomb. Didn't even use his finish, which maybe the spirit bomb will become his new finish on Main. I don't know. I mean, dude, they had Orton dole out some chops.
Those chops were great.
They were great chops. And then, you know what? I mentioned this during the stream, and you're totally right. The one thing, if Performance Center gave us nothing else, it was the acoustics for the chops were so damn good.
Great.
But yeah, Orton hit his draping DDT, goes for an RKO, ends up eating a spirit bomb, and got pinned for 3. Next time Drew McIntyre says Randy Orton is a selfish son of a bitch who doesn't want to help anybody else out, sorry, Drew, you're not going to have that with you. Because this was Randy Orton doing favors for a dude who's got star written all over him. This does so much for Keith Lee. It doesn't hurt Randy Orton at all. I want to see these 3 go at it at Night of Champions, assuming Drew's going to be like kayfabe cleared by then.
Yeah, I think so. There's a couple interesting, fun little story moments here in the match. So, you know, Randall Orton, he does the belly to back on the announce table. He did that. Later on, guess what? Keith Lee did it to him.
Yeah.
Great.
Just great stuff, man.
Orton doled out some great chops. Loud. Lee shook him off. Double chop. Great stuff. Fun match. It was short, like 6.5 minutes. And like a minute and a half of that was Randy Orton having Keith Lee in a headlock.
Yeah, it was.
Nonetheless, I gave it 3.5 stars.
I gave it 3.
Win.
Yeah, I gave it 3. It was kind of short, and there was, like you said, about 2 minutes on the mat. Mark of Steel says Keith Lee's attire was based on Broly from the Dragon Ball series. Interesting stuff. Never been a big anime guy.
After that, we know the Paul Heyman interview. He's asked yet again, has Roman Reigns signed the contract? And as we said, Roman promised he would be here tonight, and he promised he would win, and he's here, and he's going to win. He said he shall leave here as Universal Champion. That's going to happen. You can believe that, and you can believe me. And then that was it. Next, we had Seth and Buddy Murphy taking on Ray and Dominic Mysterio. Dominic lost the hood.
Yeah.
Smart. It looked like such a massive distraction.
As a result, they win. Not a coincidence in my mind.
I don't think so either. Without the distraction of Hood, he can focus on the task at hand, which is pinning Buddy Murphy.
Yeah, I gave this match 4 stars, man. I like about 6 minutes deep. I just wrote down this entire match is too fast to call. There's a lot of really fun stuff in this match. Lots of cool stuff. Dom
is really good. Dom is really good in the ring. He's crisp. He's fluid. He's fast.
Dude,
it looks effortless to him. It looks effortless.
I am not a trained wrestler. You can sometimes, in more egregious examples, you can really see when one wrestler is carrying somebody else. I never got the feel. Now, there are 3 masters of the craft in the ring, but at no time did it really seem like Dom was being carried by them. Now, he probably was because they're so damn good, but they made him look amazing. And whenever it just came to like straight up fundamentals of wrestling, timing, stuff like that, this kid is on, man. He's really good.
Yeah, he's fluid. Everything that he does looks crisp.
It does. It really does.
You know, I mean, in terms of telling the story of when to hit certain story beats, you know, totally you can rely on veterans for that stuff if you don't have the feel of the psychology of the match. But in terms of the execution of what he had to do, like, there's not anything really to quibble about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But yeah, it was a fun match, and yeah, there was a lot to keep up with. I mean, immediately, bell rings, and looks like Ray's about to start. Dom tags himself in, just goes right for Seth. And they're brawling down the ringside for a stretch. And this match went everywhere. The finish saw Seth try to hit Ray with a buckle bomb, and while he was going to do the buckle bomb, Buddy was going to do the kick to his back like the Young Bucks do. Instead, Ray reverses that into a Rana. So Buddy doesn't kick Ray in the back. He kicks Seth in the face. So Ray hits a sliding sunset flip powerbomb on Seth on the floor, while Dom hits Buddy with the 619, follows that with a frog splash to get the win. I'd be shocked if we don't get Dom versus Buddy and Ray versus Seth on Raw tomorrow night.
Yeah, yeah. After that, we had our main event, which saw Braun give himself the jobber entrance. We didn't see him there.
Well, did he give himself the jobber entrance, or did Bray come out first and then Braun just sneak attack? Because I don't remember Braun being in the ring at any point during the entrance of
No, he
Bray's
wasn't.
entrance.
He was hiding. He was probably hiding
so
somewhere.
I don't think it was jobber entrance.
It's funnier to say he had the jobber entrance, so just let me get my bid in.
Sorry. Cold water on you. Bray, if anybody got the jobber entrance, he's champ and comes out first.
Oh yeah, but he came out. Yeah, they do that. They do. They give him the challenger's entrance, which sucks. So yeah, Bray comes out. Braun is either hiding or doing something.
Teleports.
I don't know. Yeah, or he teleports. Yeah. So he attacks Bray, and they just go full monster match. This was reminiscent of Roman versus Braun back in 2017. Bray's able to, I think Braun hits like a power slam almost immediately.
Early, yeah.
Bray kicks out of that, of course. Bray doles out a Sister Abigail. That only gets 2. A couple times during this match, Alexa Bliss was seen watching backstage. At one point, Bray sends Braun through a table. Braun gets up, launches an office chair at Bray. Bray got his mallet out, attacked Braun with that, broke his neck twice. Then at one point, they're up on the stage. Braun launches himself into Bray off the stage, through the floor. They go back up to the ring. They do a superplex. The ring collapses. Lil Nate goes flying out of the ring.
Not to be seen again for the night.
Heel Reigns.
He has no vest. No vest, at least.
No vest. Same theme. T-shirt.
You see, I don't mind the same theme because that theme, as soon as that hits, that gets a reaction.
There's a Pavlovian response to it at this point. It'd be weird for them to give him a new theme.
I appreciate he lost the vest. That's good. Although as a heel now, it makes all the more sense to wear the vest.
Yeah, maybe. So anyways, Roman comes out. We've sort of mentioned this at the beginning. He signs a contract, runs down there, sees the carnage, pins Bray first. Bad move. Bray, of course, kicks out because he kicks out of everything as the Fiend. Goes over to Braun. He kicks out. He goes for is that where he goes for the chair, or at that point?
He goes and gets the chair, and hits Braun with it a couple times, and then he tries to hit Bray with it. Bray tries to give him the mandible claw and rip out his new beautiful teeth. Yeah, man. And then that's when Roman kicks him in the nuts. He stumbles out of the ring for a bit. He gets back in, hits a spear on Braun to get the win. And that must have been when he yelled at the ref.
And he said, I've got a couple of tweets here with that video of him saying, count it B. So, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. One thing I hope they do, man, one thing I hope they do is if Heyman, if the story is Heyman is trying to sort of get Roman to have the Brock philosophy. Yeah. I want Roman to embrace it, to really embrace it before he realizes that it isn't his thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he needs to go all in, reach a point where he crosses a certain line, and then realize if that's the story they're going to tell. That's how.
Exactly.
That's,
if the story they're telling is like Roman has made this decision, I'm going to take the easy way to get to the title, and he has to teach himself how to comport himself in such a fashion, bend the rules, cheat, not accept every challenge put before him, that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, he gets to the point where he finally feels comfortable in that role, and then he's presented with a situation where he doesn't know if he can make himself do it. That's the threshold. He meets a threshold he's not willing to cross.
And I think
could be interesting.
I wonder if Heyman, because Heyman always, whether he's executive director of Raw or not, if Heyman's involved in something in an on-screen capacity, chances are he's going to have plenty of input on how that should work out. I think Heyman's creative on this would probably come in handy, given all the time he's had with Brock and doing that kind of stuff,
and with Roman, given all that Brock and Roman have done together. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So I'm curious to see where this goes, man. I'm interested. I only gave this match 2 stars because it was a whole lot of of nothing.
I think I gave it 2 1/3.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm curious about where the story's going to go. So yeah, I want to see what's going to happen on SmackDown.
Yeah. Curious. Want to answer a few questions? Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that before we go.
Flat Survivor Series coming up. Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. Captained by Sasha and Bayley feels inevitable.
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible.
Possibility. White Brownie. With Shayna and Nia new tag champions, who will face Asuka at Night of Champions? I mean, it could be Shayna or Nia. It still could be that because it's not like they are hold themselves to defend the tag titles. WWE holds themselves to have a tag title match, women's tag title match at every pay-per-view.
Well, if it's Night of Champions, isn't the gimmick all the championships are defended?
Then I don't know.
Maybe, given that pay-per-views are supposed to be brief these days, I guess it's possible that she just won't have a match.
Yeah, maybe. Muted Mayday says, I want R-Truth as Nia and Shayna as a manager. Man, R-Truth and Shayna are so good on Raw Talk. Oh, my gosh. You see the bit where Shayna brought the mayonnaise and the hot sauce in? Yeah. Gosh, that was so good.
It was great.
That's so good. Denton Watkins, would Keith Lee winning at this point or Roman turning heel happen all in front of normal live crowds?
Oh, would Keith Lee? Oh, yeah. They would have wanted that Keith Lee win to be in front of crowds.
A crowd, yeah.
All the Roman stuff. I think Vince considers anything that's happening right now is considered a crowd. I think that he firmly believes that Thunderdome, it's you can't plan for live crowds to be back at any point because we don't know. Nobody knows. But you can plan for Thunderdome, and he is all in on it. He's got his people back. He's got Roman back. Yeah.
Gatorix6, Steve, any chance you love the new look and will keep it?
No, I do not see me. I don't mind the look. I think I'm fine with the hair. I don't like putting effort into my appearance for the most part. I haven't put any like a hair product in terms of like hair gel or anything in my hair.
Yeah.
I'm just growing it out. It does what it does. Yeah. There's also the matter of if I bleach it too much, I don't want my hair to fall out.
Yeah, it's not good for your hair to do that.
It's not good for my hair. So no, I'll never do this again, but I'm fine with it while it's here.
Doc Linderman's. There was one point on the outside where Murphy was going to send Dom the wrong side for his mini 619 under the bottom rope, and Dom switched the sides really smoothly. He looks like a veteran already. That's something else. That's a good detail to notice, too.
He looks great.
Oh, Dangam Q says Ray versus Seth was announced for Raw. Well, there you go.
I thought, yeah, okay. I know something was announced for Raw. I didn't know if it was Dom versus Murphy or Ray versus Seth, but probably both those matches, huh?
Rand Wildman, has anyone checked on Charles Robinson yet? I'm assuming he was just selling.
Yeah. It was a great bit. Let's see here. Crap, I had a good one. I think it was dabbing with Dan. Any chance we see less of the Big Bang catastrophe now that he's on main? He says it kind of looks like an AA. Would it remind people of Cena? I don't think reminding people of Cena would be a big deal.
They might just feel like the Spirit Bombs was a stronger finisher.
Spirit Bomb looks like a stronger finisher. Well,
showcases his strength too.
Yeah, it does.
Bangers and mash. So is Otis cashing in on Roman? Oh no.
No. Otis is like, dude, I'm sorry, but in terms of if you look at the mid-card titles, Otis is below the mid-card title. He's below the Intercontinental Championship. He's below the United States Championship. He's even, I mean, maybe Heavy Machinery could take the tag titles off of Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. That, to me, I think they're booked. I think Heavy Machinery probably at this point.
That's the only reasonable possibility of any of those that you've talked about.
The only possibility.
Only one.
They might sacrifice Otis to facilitate Roman being a heel. I could see that.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Otis might try to do the gentleman's cash-in thing.
And he's going to get brutalized by Reigns.
He gets
destroyed.
He gets made an example out of.
Destroyed.
Like maybe he cashes in, but before they're able to like ring the bell or whatever, or Roman, given how much of this contract business played into the story, maybe Otis goes to Heyman to cash in, and Heyman is supposed to do like the actual facilitating of like, you know, getting the ref to ring the bell. He clues in Roman beats the living crap out of him. They ring the bell, stand Otis up, one spear, he's done. Something like that.
Bust him open. It's got to be really violent.
But if the idea is, I don't know, dude. If the idea is I don't know. Because if eventually you want Roman to get back, my opinion is you make Roman the baddest heel possible and you can bring him back. Vince might not feel that way. Maybe he'll feel, well, he has to have some redeeming qualities and you can't beat up the hapless idiot. I don't know. I'd like to see that, though, to be honest with you.
Jorge D again asked, any status update on Little Nate? Never saw him again after he flew out. Charles Robinson is the best ref in the business. Little Nate is great. I think he was just selling the spot.
He disappeared into nothingness.
Die Hard Homer, this is a good question. So if Roman is champ until Mania, is Big E the front runner for Challenger? Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Challenger, yes. Next champion, that I don't know. But I think if they're serious about giving Big E a serious and meaningful solo run, then that's the narrative. That's it.
I can't. I don't even want to think.
Like he said, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
But ideally, if you want to create a huge new star, I mean, Big E is already a huge star. But if you want to create a massive, massive, massive face of the company type star, put Big E in the ring opposite Roman Reigns at WrestleMania and have him win. And then get behind him as champion. You know? Get behind him as champion.
Dr. Steve Winters, what feels like more of a wasted opportunity at this point, Retribution or Raw Underground?
Raw Underground, because there's never any opportunity in Retribution based on how they debuted. There's never, like, this way they debuted, you knew that was dead in the water upon arrival. Not going to happen. Yeah,
I agree with that.
So Raw Underground has just been kind of underdeveloped since it debuted. This has kind of been a thing, but they haven't really done much with it. Retribution was not going to, just based on how it started, you knew that was
bad immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shane's birthday tweet, was this the first show where all the titles changed hands in a long time?
Is this the I mean, yeah, it's been a little while, huh?
Schnauzer96, with the title on Roman, who's more likely to take the briefcase from Otis, Strowman or Fiend? I think the briefcase in the Funhouse could be a fun prop for Bray. I think the scenario where Otis actually tries to cash in and just gets destroyed, just to get heat out of Roman, is the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scruff BMX with Kenny in the Thunderdome. What other AEW stars need to be in the dome?
It's got to be Orange Cassidy because of all the thumbs.
Mm-hmm.
He just does this. But then the second one.
Or he can't be bothered to turn his hands all the way upside down.
Yeah. His hands aren't even in the frame. It's just like this.
Oh, White Brownie says, check out Big E's post-match interview. So good. I'll have to check that out. It's probably on Twitter.
We'll check it out in just a moment. I think that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Twitch chat, stay tuned. We'll go through some of these highlighted messages for you. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Be a part of the best pro wrestling podcast today at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Enjoy tons of bonus videos, including patron-only live shows, gameplay, and vintage 10 for the wins, access to podcast question threads, the Friendo Care Package, and so much more. Support Going In Raw today at patreon.com/Steve and Larson.